In May 1999, a frightened 13-year-old girl walked into a Hong Kong police station accompanied by a social worker. What she revealed would lead investigators to one of the most shocking criminal cases in Hong Kong's history. A case that would become known worldwide as the Hello Kitty murder. The story began at a women's shelter in Kowloon. The teenager, identified in court records as Ah Fong, had recently been suffering from severe nightmares. According to staff members, she repeatedly woke up terrified, claiming that she was being visited by a woman asking for a missing head to be returned. At first, shelter workers believed the dreams were simply the result of emotional stress. However, as the nightmares continued and the girl's mental condition deteriorated, concern grew. Eventually, a social worker decided to bring her to police. What started as an unusual report quickly transformed into a homicide investigation. During questioning, Ah Fong revealed that she had been living with her boyfriend, a 19-year-old man named Lung, in a rundown apartment building. There, she met two older men associated with local criminal circles. According to her statement, a woman had been held inside the apartment for weeks. The teenager claimed she witnessed repeated abuse and intimidation directed at the woman. Fearful for her own safety, she said she never dared challenge the men or report what she had seen. As investigators listened, they realized they were hearing details of a crime far more serious than anyone had imagined. The victim was eventually identified as 23-year-old Fan Man-yee. Using information provided by Ah Fong, police were directed to an apartment building at 31 Granville Road in the Tsim Sha Tsui district of Hong Kong. The structure was old, partially abandoned, and in poor condition. When officers entered the apartment, they immediately noticed a strong odor. Inside, they discovered evidence suggesting that a serious crime had taken place. Among the items found was a large Hello Kitty mermaid doll. Investigators became suspicious after noticing that the doll appeared unusually heavy. Upon examination, they made a horrifying discovery that would give the case its infamous name. The evidence recovered from the apartment confirmed that Fan Man-yee had been killed and that attempts had been made to conceal the crime. Because traditional identification methods were difficult, forensic experts relied on dental analysis and photographic comparisons. After extensive examination, authorities confirmed that the remains belonged to Fan Man-yee. The investigation then turned toward understanding who she was and how she became a victim. Fan Man-yee had experienced hardship throughout her life. Born in 1975, she endured a difficult childhood marked by family instability and poverty. After spending part of her youth in institutional care, she struggled to support herself as a young adult. Over time, she became involved in Hong Kong's nightlife scene and associated with individuals connected to organized crime. Like many vulnerable people living on society's margins, she faced financial difficulties and unstable relationships. Investigators learned that Fan had accumulated debt and had become entangled with dangerous individuals. These connections would ultimately place her in the path of the men responsible for her death. Police identified three primary suspects. The alleged ringleader was Chan Man Lok, a 33-year-old nightclub employee with gang connections. Authorities believed he exercised significant influence over the younger suspects. The other two men were Leung, Ah Fong's boyfriend, and a 26-year-old associate named Xing Cho. According to the prosecution, disputes involving money and debt eventually escalated into a prolonged period of captivity and abuse. Fan was allegedly confined inside the Granville Road apartment and prevented from leaving. Witness testimony suggested that multiple people were aware something unusual was happening inside the building. Some neighbors later reported hearing disturbing sounds and noticing suspicious activity. However, no one fully understood what was occurring behind the apartment's closed doors. The building itself contributed to the secrecy. Several units were vacant, and portions of the property had fallen into disrepair. The isolated environment allowed the suspects to operate without attracting immediate attention. As police gathered evidence, public reaction grew intense. Media coverage dominated headlines throughout Hong Kong. Newspapers published daily updates, while television stations devoted extensive coverage to the investigation. The bizarre circumstances surrounding the case shocked residents and attracted international attention. Many people struggled to comprehend how such a crime could have occurred in the middle of one of Hong Kong's busiest districts. The investigation also raised difficult questions about social vulnerability, organized crime, and the failure of bystanders to intervene. Authorities launched a manhunt for the suspects. Chan was eventually arrested at an apartment where he was living with his family. According to reports, he appeared surprised by how quickly police had tracked him down. Following Chan's arrest, pressure mounted on the remaining suspects. Xing Cho later surrendered to authorities, while Leung fled Hong Kong and crossed into mainland China. After several months on the run, he was located by police and returned to Hong Kong to face trial. The legal proceedings attracted enormous public interest. During the trial, prosecutors presented witness testimony, forensic evidence, and statements obtained during the investigation. The defense challenged aspects of the prosecution's case and disputed responsibility for Fan's death. One of the most important witnesses was Ah Fong. Although she had been present during many events connected to the case, she was only 13 years old at the time and had clearly suffered severe psychological trauma. Her testimony provided investigators with crucial information about what had occurred inside the apartment. The court proceedings lasted for months. Ultimately, the jury concluded that the evidence supported convictions for manslaughter rather than murder. The 3 defendants were found guilty and received lengthy prison sentences. The verdict generated debate throughout Hong Kong. Some observers believed the punishment was appropriate under the law, while others argued that the severity of the crime justified harsher charges. Years later, appeals and sentence reviews led to different outcomes for some of the individuals involved. Nevertheless, the case remained one of the most notorious criminal investigations in Hong Kong history. Beyond the courtroom, the crime left a lasting cultural impact. The address at 31 Granville Road became infamous. Curious visitors traveled to the location, hoping to see the building connected to the case. Over time, stories and rumors began circulating about strange experiences reported near the property. Some claimed the building was haunted. Others reported unexplained sightings or unusual events. While none of these stories were ever verified, they contributed to the legend surrounding the case. Eventually, the original building was demolished and replaced with a new structure. Yet even after the physical location disappeared, public fascination remained. More than 2 decades later, the Hello Kitty murder continues to be referenced in documentaries, books, podcasts, and true crime discussions around the world. The case is frequently cited as one of Hong Kong's most disturbing criminal investigations. What makes the story so unforgettable is not merely the unusual evidence that gave the case its name. It is the tragic story of a vulnerable victim, the failures that allowed the crime to continue, and the young witness whose nightmares ultimately led police to the truth. Without Ah Fong's decision to speak, investigators may never have uncovered what happened inside the apartment on Granville Road. Today, the Hello Kitty murder stands as a grim reminder of how hidden crimes can exist behind ordinary walls, unnoticed until someone finds the courage to come forward. More than 25 years later, the case remains one of the darkest chapters in Hong Kong's criminal history, and one that continues to haunt the public imagination.